Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to start the stream now. The game has not started, but it will start soon after the chaps have finished their lunch. So I thought I'd give you a little view of a lawn. And when they start, your commentators, by popular demand, are back. Will be Reg Bamford and Robert Fletcher. See you all soon.
and I'm being joined by Robert Fletcher. And between us, we've won several tournaments, Robert. No, I think that's fair to say?
I think it's fair to say.
Fair to say, yeah.
Rich?
So I suppose the sort of takeaway from that second game to me is how quickly a game can change and a match can change. So, 2-0 compared to 1-1 is a vast, big difference. And Matt, I think, will probably be kicking himself, although based on his little jump shot at 13, he'd probably miss that. And he is now 1-1 rather than 2-0 up. And how it changes on one shot that in practice you probably get, what do you say, 7 or 8 times out of 10?
Yeah, and definitely a strong shot for Matthew.
Yes.
Even throughout this match
Yeah.
so far. So
yeah, so something that he was really expecting to make.
It certainly wasn't a last hurrah from Matt. That's certainly a shot he expects to get the majority of the time.
So I suppose my question would be how might that affect Matt, and what would you do if that had been you and you'd missed that shot that you were expecting to get? What sort of processes do you go through?
It's a great shot.
And possibly blocked.
The block.
Possibly blocked. That's a very good shot from Matt.
So look, if it was a shot like that, so it's essentially, the outcome's not what you wanted. If there's really no feedback there, except you just move on as quickly as possible, and forget about it and get into your usual processes, and crack on with the match.
Yeah, well said.
I mean, and you need to be as pragmatic as possible, and Matthew is playing very well.
Yeah.
There's no need for him to kind of
sort of
really
internalize that and
go, oh, okay, what am I really doing wrong?
Yeah.
It's one poor shot. That's it. Just need to forget about it and get back to doing what he's been doing so well, which is hitting the ball very straight.
There is a coach that I have, actually based down in Christchurch, a very sort of learned fellow in the sort of skills and art of psychology and sports psychology. And he would just say to me, he said, Reg, sometimes you're the statue and sometimes you're the pigeon, and you just move on. Sometimes you can't choose which one you're going to be. That's a very good shot from Matt. So certainly, from the sort of first look of things, it doesn't seem to have affected him at all, which is what I expect from a great player like Matt.
Yeah, so he's played red up into.
So this is a very interesting position, because where now do you put black?
Yeah, putting it in hoop running position is probably not a good idea. Yeah, because red can dispatch it to any part of the lawn, which is this.
Or 6 or 7 yards back. Do you not like that sort of option?
Sure. That's definitely an option. I mean, it's the one of the two options. Obviously, where Rob's put black now, or putting it quite deep and then giving yourself a long hoop run. But I kind of haven't seen that as. Did you see Robert doing much of that yesterday against you? Like much kind of deep play with
Robert,
the second ball?
I did ask you not to talk about my game against Robert yesterday. Especially telling you what happened at hoop 12 in game 4, where he ran a 10-yarder. Well, it seemed a 10-yarder to me. Perhaps it was a 7-yarder, and I had a ball right in front, and it was his last shot. Not that I'm bitter at all.
No, you don't sound bitter at all. Yeah.
I think we've both played this game long enough to know that yin and yang, statue and pigeons.
Indeed.
Yeah. There will be more opportunities, won't there?
Yes, and plenty of times we've dished it out as well. So.
Yeah, that's right. Well, at least now I know what it feels like. It's not brilliant.
It's not a good feeling.
It's not a great feeling. Right, sometimes one wants to sort of bottle up that sort of feeling of being in the zone. And I mean, if you could sell that, you'd be a millionaire, wouldn't you? That's this wonderful feeling of relaxed and being calm and that sort of stuff. But also sometimes it's just as valuable to bottle up how you feel when you lose, because you don't want to feel that too often, do you? You want to remember how it felt.
Yes, losing is a powerful motivator.
It is. It is. Probably as powerful as winning.
So I think Blue's got a bit of the hoop,
I
bit
think
of
so.
red.
I think so, and I suspect that he'll be taking this on.
So are you shooting? You just aiming for red, and if a miss, you might get the hoop, or
No, I'm going to be aiming at that right upright.
Mm.
I'm aiming at that right upright. And if I hit that right upright, I'll just say that was a good shot, even though it missed red and missed the hoop. I mean, I think that looks like a good shot. Oh,
okay.
I actually think that went through the middle, didn't it?
I think it did. It went between red and the hoop. So
That's a great shot.
Quite possibly have been where or very close to where Rob was aiming it, and it's just gone dead straight.
Just as we were talking about that, actually, Rob should be thinking, "What a great shot that was!"
Yeah.
But just didn't get quite get the outcome that he wanted. Right now, last night at the players' dinner, which was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was. Yes.
It was an awful lot of fun.
Very good night.
I think look at that great touch from Rob.
Yeah,
It's
nice shot.
just putting on a spot. There were obviously some tables that were the sort of powers that be, those people who are in charge, presidents and prime ministers and chairmen, that sort of stuff. And then there was our table, which we called what?
Well, it became known as the losers' table towards the end of the night.
It was the losers' table because there were an awful lot of people at our table who weren't playing today.
Yeah, which we discovered through the conversation over dinner.
But what it did mean, of course, was that we were able to tell some great stories, and we were possibly able to drink some stuff that we weren't going to be drinking earlier in the week. Is that also true?
Yes, definitely. Certainly,
and
possibly overindulging on some of the delicious food that was on offer.
Yeah, and also seated at our table was Ewan Barrage, and it got us onto the story of his father.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Ooh, very close.
Now Matt's missed a couple of these now. Just needs to. No, don't do this, Matt. It's got nothing to do with that. You got to love and trust your swing during a tournament, hey, Robert. You can't start changing grips, can you?
No, it's not.
and your lineups and that sort of stuff. You must do that after the season's over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But but Ewan's dad, Ian, is a great chap. I think he's actually president of the WCF, isn't he?
Oh, he is actually. Yeah.
Oh, he's actually quite an important man. I think I think maybe I shouldn't tell the story.
I think.
Or do you think I should?
I think it'll be okay. Freedom of speech is strong in this country, I believe.
Well, I think it's under threat. But
he's a powerful man, so.
But he is a powerful man. So perhaps risking sanction, being banned for a season or two. We were reminiscing about a GC World Team Championship played in Surbiton must have been 6-7 years ago, 2016 or so. It's a great format, Robert. I mean, it is. You've played in a couple of them, haven't you?
Yes,
Yeah. So
in,
it's a
New
terrific
Zealand,
format.
yeah,
Yeah.
in
So there's
2020.
the flags out there. You got your teammates. It's what's it? Teams of four.
Yes,
Teams of
teams of
four, and
four.
each test match is what, 2 days?
Yeah, in a couple of days.
Yeah. And as you probably won't know what this feels like, but the country that I play for, South Africa, we haven't got a strong team. So we scrabble around for 4 players, and we generally, so from shooting down to hoop 4, and
Yeah, got it.
yeah.
Nice shot.
So just in terms of the ebb and flow of this game, I think it's definitely flowing back towards Rob here. I think I mean, it's, he seems to be hitting very straight. Matt's missed a couple. That's
Yeah,
gone too far.
yeah.
Just a couple of things, just definitely going Rob's way, not really going Matt's way. So anyway, we always fight around for the playoff. Now you don't want to be finishing 8th in that World Team Championship, because
It's relegation, is it?
because unfortunately it's automatic relegation, and it takes 8 years to get back into that top tier, because you have to then go and win the second tier 4 years later,
Right.
to then play in the top tier against that. 8 years. So that's the context. It's vital not to get relegated. Anyway, Ian Burridge, bless his cotton socks, he's playing in the playoff game against South Africa, and as it happens, I mean, it was the alignment of the stars. It's I think it's 6-all in games, and his game is the final game. And as it happens, it's 1-all in games. And he had lost the second game by peeling William Lowe through the 13th hoop. And knowing Ian, of course, there was gesticulations and appealing to the croquet gods, but he had peeled William Lowe through the 13th to lose the second game. Yeah, good shot, Rob. I didn't quite nail it. So of course now they are playing this third game, and the scores are being matched: 1-all, 2-all, 3-all, and of course it goes to the 13th, as it was with that. Now there are about 60-70 people watching this game. That's a great shot. Now, Robert, why is that a great shot?
So yeah, he's clear. Main objective, get rid of black, but with the red, he's also travelled over to almost hoop running position at 5.
Yeah.
So if Robert doesn't clear yellow now and yellow runs the hoop, Matt is effectively first to 5.
Yeah.
Very strong position.
Very strong position. So
So 13th hoop.
So 13th
Third game.
hoop, third game,
Relegation match.
Wales versus Ireland. The loser of this hoop.
Great shot.
Rob, I'm telling you, this game has turned. That was a key shot. So the whole destiny of one's croquet nation rests on this next hoop, and it was clearly playing on Ian's mind that in the previous game he had peeled Oppo through 13. By now, we had christened that particular shot where he peeled William Lowe through 13 as a barrage, where you, on the 13th hoop, you play the last shot of the game but lose. Okay, so that's...
So a single game, last shot of the game, you peel them through, that's a barrage. Yeah.
But it has to be on the 13th hoop.
On the 13th, okay.
So that is called a barrage.
Right.
Something extraordinary happened at the tail end of that game, because not only was there another barrage, but there was also a golden barrage, which is where you lose 2 games in a match with a barrage. So the second one's called the golden barrage. But there's also something called a platinum barrage, and that's to to lose the last 2 games of a match playing that last shot. And that's a platinum barrage. But we actually dubbed another one, which was called the Royal Barrage. And that is to lose a test match in a relegation game, to condemn your country to 8 years in the croquet wilderness. And that is exactly what he did. He put William through the last hoop to earn, I think, the only ever Royal Barrage that's ever been played.
It might be impossible to replicate.
I actually think it is. So anyway, that was one of the amusing stories that we told last night at the losers' table. We were becoming more and more irreverent, weren't we?
We were.
Yes. We were very scathing of all these winners in front of us.
I know.
Oh, that would have been a superb shot. Why? Because black was near hoop 5.
Yeah.
So again, a little shake of the head from Rob. That's probably the biggest expression of anguish that you'll see from him.
Mm-hmm. Missed opportunity, but he'll put that behind himself very quickly.
Yeah.
A nice shot.
So
the downside for Rob is that obviously he didn't score the point, but the upside is he is first to
he's first there.
5, and
he will put a ball right in front.
Put a ball right in front.
So your brother Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
So something interesting is happening to him next week.
This month.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This month.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
He's getting married.
He's getting married.
Yes.
Malcolm. Do you think that's going to impact his croquet?
Well, that's probably a question for you, Reg. I'm not married.
Oh, I do hope that my lovely wife is listening to all of this, because I have to give her a lot of credit. She's very understanding. But that said, I'd make it very clear when we started going out that I was a croquet player, and that there would be some moments in our married life when croquet would have to take precedent, and she was not to take it seriously or to read anything into that. So with the birth of our second child, Oliver, who actually also might be listening in on this, it was very poorly planned, because he was born 2 weeks before the World Championships in New Zealand, and I did make this clear to Adrian when we found out the due date. I said, this is not good, but I am going down to that tournament. You do know that. And I did. That was when Toby bloody Garrison hit 3 T-laters against me in the quarterfinal. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
3 in a row. Sorry, what? Okay, so a question has come through, and Ewan's passed that on to us, which I'm going to ask of you. So, someone's asked what sort of things would we say to them in terms of going on to their next big tournament, or their first big tournament, or kind of a step up. What sort of pieces of advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I guess it depends what level you're starting on. I guess firstly, if you've got any hesitation about going and playing in a major event, whether that be a state championship or a open championship, just don't give it a second thought.
Absolutely, just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be warmly received by all of the players.
Absolutely.
And, you'll be able to test yourself against the best, and it'll be the best feedback you could ever get.
Yeah.
And out of that, you're going to see, okay, you know, it might be I need a better mallet. Maybe you know, my roquet, I need to spend more time on my roquets, or you know, jumping, you know, just general tactics and strategy, and you'll get a feel for what you need to be doing to start competing with better players.
Yeah. So do you think there's any particular reason why someone shouldn't do that?
Shouldn't enter a competition? No, not at all. Not at all. I think no, not at all.
Oh,
very close to winning off.
Okay, cool. Okay, another question, and we do really appreciate these questions because they at least give us something to talk about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is what one thing have we, you know, the two of us, learned about playing in one of these top finals? What one sort of takeaway? Let's have a look. See the shot.
Oh, yeah, great shot,
Rob. He's swinging straight. I have to say, he's swinging straight. So, what? Okay, why don't I cast your mind back to? I mean, one of your very finest championships. I mean, you played so superbly and supremely. I actually think you won every single one of the games. So it was an AC World Championship. You played Paddy, who's an outstanding player. Paddy Chapman in the final.
In 2013.
2013.
At
Surbiton on those beautiful George Noble prepared lawns.
Yes.
Baked.
Yes.
Rock hard hoops.
Especially for the final day.
And they did not seem to worry you.
No.
You were just on song, weren't you?
I was. It's definitely in the zone.
Oh, he's gone past it. That's so unlike Rob.
But I think most of what I learned from it, kind of being able to produce, you know, my best form for that competition. I think most of the learning came from, you know, previous World Championships. So in the previous year, in 2012, in Adelaide.
That's right. We'd had a hell of a battle.
Yeah.
Great 5-setter. Yeah.
I think I might have hit 3-2 ladies that day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did
maybe.
You? I think I've banished them from my memory. Did you?
Yeah, so and then prior to that, in 2009, I was a semi-finalist. So I think a lot.
And who beat you there, Robert?
Some guy from South Africa. Yeah, unfortunately, he was quite good.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so in terms of, you know, what I'd learned specifically in those matches, well, I think
it's very important to be drawn on the other side of the floor from me.
That was the first thing I learned, but then that didn't go so well when it came to the final.
No.
Because I still had to play this guy.
I'm just joking. We've got a great croquet rivalry going. It's absolutely fantastic to witness.
Look, I think, yeah, definitely from a physical skill perspective, I had a lot of what was, I could play the shots I needed to play to win, but it was about being able to do that consistently.
Oh, shot! That could be a great shot. Look at that, going all the way up to 6. That's beautiful.
Great shot. So it's being able to do that consistently and throughout a tournament and in the final stages, you know, no matter who I was going to come up against. And for me, that was, you know, developing that kind of mental side of the game, the mental discipline, and no matter what game I was playing, being able to produce my best croquet. Um, so yeah, I mean there are obviously um, oh, just missed that one.
That could be a big miss because this is 2 hoops probably.
hmm I think there are obviously tactical and strategical kind of learnings, but I think at the end of the day, y- you all the players in a latter stages of a world championship, they're going to be there or not a bad result, but not what he was looking for.
No.
Um, they're going to be there or thereabouts tactically. You
Yeah.
just have to produce a very high level of physical croquet.
And to what extent does luck or fortune play in these sort of major matches? And I suppose the reason I ask that is, I mean, you're absolutely right around the sort of skill set and the sort of mindset, but sometimes if I look back at some of my finals, I mean they sort of turned on a ticky. I mean, there was a shot, and had it missed or had it hit, there'd be a completely different outcome. And you know this as well as I do. You can't control that outcome. You can certainly influence it, but you can't always control. Oh,
That's bad luck.
that's bad luck.
Well,
So that is a sort of mini barrage, is it? Is it a sort of early warning sign of a barrage?
it's
It's a,
the
is that
prelude or the
is that a prelude of a barrage?
the entree maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it would be tragic to see uh, a barrage take place. So,
But I think this is kind of a good example of what you're just speaking about
Yeah.
in terms of a bit of luck.
a bit of luck, just
Rob's been shooting
yeah,
very well.
rubber the green, and yeah,
Probably the better of the two for
Yeah.
the last 15 minutes.
and yet he's now what?
4-1 down.
I think he's 4-1 down. I can't
Yeah.
quite see the score there.
Yeah.
Mike Bilton, father of Richard Bilton, gave me a good run for my money in the quarters. He's obscuring my view there, but yeah. Yeah. So, sometimes luck and fortune and a just a little roll, left or right, like that lift shot that you missed against me in Adelaide in Game 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you actually said it was just there was
It was actually Game 4.
Sorry, Game 4 was it?
So I was on 4 back already. You'd hit my lift, gone to 4 back. And I took the shot from A-Balk.
A-Balk, yeah.
And mainly because of the ground that I was shooting over.
Yeah. And
that was.
was it
was
next to
nothing.
nothing?
If that ball had moved, I would have.
You would have claimed it. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, that's a great shot, Rob. So that was a partially wide ball,
Mhm.
and he got a lot on that. In fact, he's also gone up to hoop 7. So I mean, I don't know whether these are planned shots, Robert. I maybe they've got godlike skills and far more than me, but often that. I mean, I really should whisper this, but often that's luck, isn't it?
Yes, there is a certain amount of luck involved there.
Oh dear.
I mean,
Oh, that's
you still have to hit at a very high level to be able to take advantage of that
Yeah.
luck. Yeah.
right, because you are going to ask me about my third last shot in the Cairo Worlds with my clearance of Ahmed
Well,
at
actually,
hoop 12, and
yeah.
was that intended or not?
It is actually something that I've been meaning to ask you. So,
I'm
was
actually
that was that
I'm actually
intentional?
not going to answer the question, Robert. No,
This is
but
not fair.
it's so.
Or, so, um,
Oh, he's just gone too far.
yeah. So, was it maybe in the back of your mind that if you took half ball here, you'd be nicely positioned in front of 13.
That was exactly what I said to myself.
Mm-hmm.
When walking up to that shot, I said, I've got 3 shots to win the World Championship.
Mm-hmm.
If I hit this on the left and he misses, I win.
Mm-hmm. And you did precisely that.
And yeah, and I mean, I actually almost can't explain it. It was just one of those things that you're shooting at balloons. I mean, you know you can't miss it, and they looked 2 foot wide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a wonderful feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you just know you can't miss it. Oh, great shot. I mean, that's such a great shot, isn't it? I mean, he had to get that block from 10 yards, and he put it on the spot.
Yeah,
that is Rob's great strength in this match.
Mm.
And the question is whether that will be enough to win it for him. And also whether Matt, when things start just tightening up a bit and getting a bit more tense, starts playing a bit more like Rob's style, which I would recommend to Matt to try and avoid.
Yes. He's not going to win at Rob's game.
No.
I think it's very unlikely that he would.
He's a. I think he could get double clearance. Yeah,
I think so. He's going at it hard.
Yeah. So there's not much of a stalk.
Mm-hmm.
It's always. Oh, it was very close.
It was.
It was very close.
You didn't want it in the centre.
That
Wanted about half ball.
I think it might have just gone over the edge. Actually, it just popped up a bit. But look at that shot.
Shot.
That's just a great shot, isn't it? Nice. He's gonna be forced to take blue out.
Yeah, he's going to have to.
He's gonna have to.
It always looks like he's shooting.
I mean, why is he shooting at black, Robert?
Well, I think he's trying to
Because if he nicks it on the left, like that, that is not a great spot to go.
No, he needed to be hitting that on the on his left-hand side, as he looked at it.
I'm actually quite surprised. I actually think I would have just said, okay, hit blue. And Robert,
Force black to have a shot at the hoop.
you're going to have a shot at the hoop, and well done. But who am I to question these guys?
Exactly, the winners. Yeah.
They would have sat at the high table last night, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Table service.
Table service, waiters, waitresses. I actually think they were served different food.
I think they were.
Yeah. The beers were
mean,
colder, I hear.
Did you get any moose last
No,
night?
I didn't get any moose. They definitely had moose because I saw it.
Mhm.
Because I saw them eating it.
Yeah. It looked very good.
Yeah. It's good to see elitism still rife in croquet.
As it should be.
As it should. Big shot.
Mm.
You see, I mean, I don't think Rob hits it any harder than that at all. But it's
not comfortably.
no. You see, a really hard shot, and black's another 10 yards.
Mm.
And if he hit on the other side,
Yeah,
a
good
shot.
Yeah, so
On the other side, yellow would have gone all the way to corner one, whereas at that pace, it's only going 12 yards.
Yeah, I think Rob was definitely looking to, bring the hoop into play there.
Yeah.
But he just got it on the wrong side.
I'm sure Rob's thought about this though, the way he wants to play this final, and he probably doesn't want to see balls flying all over the court, does he?
Yeah. He's kind of relying on controlled clearances and staying within 7 or 8 yards of the hoop. So, what have you learned from matches such as these, Reg? World Championship finals, AC and GC,
AC and GC,
or maybe just GC.
Oh, you put me on the spot now. What sort of lessons do you learn? Oh, look, the first thing is it's such an enormous privilege that we can play at this level and compete at these sort of highest level. I mean, first and foremost, they are just great fun. They are where you want to be. It's just you're pitting your skill against someone else and sort of ebb and flow and you always know there's going to be a moment or two in a match where you're going to have to dig deep, and it's going to come down to a couple of key shots. It's there's no secret sauce or magic bullet. I just think you have to have the skills. You've just got to keep composed. Is he going for hoop? I think he is.
I think so.
I'm right on his line. Oh, he's come up with a second best, I'd say.
Yeah.
They're the three devils that sit on your left shoulder: scrutiny, consequence, and expectation. And there will always be moments in the final, and sometimes one's final is even consumed by those three things, or maybe one of them, or maybe two of them. Great shot.
Yeah, that's a great shot. But
scrutiny is where you've got people watching. You've got cameras. You've got people commenting on your game. I mean, the golfers. I've got the utmost respect for golfers, because you've got a stationary ball. You've got time to think about it, and you've got a camera stuck up your nose, and every grimace is being replayed in slow motion. I mean,
there's nowhere to hide.
There's nowhere to hide, and I mean, you've been beamed around the world. So we're on the line of the shot. It's a half. I think he can possibly central ball it.
I think he's got about 3/4 of the ball.
He's got 3/4. Is it good? No, didn't look good to me.
It's not good.
No, and that I think is a key hoop, because he's right in front.
Yeah.
So you'd really be expecting him to go within 4 or 5 yards of the.
Yeah, he's going to have control.
Well, mind you, there's a bit more angle than I thought. Oh, he's played a great shot. That's a great shot. That could actually be a superb shot.
Yeah,
that's a great shot. So there's scrutiny. I mean, that's obviously one of the things. There's expectation. I mean, that typically doesn't arise in a final where, because you're generally playing someone who's quite good. But my worst games are against those people where subconsciously I know I'm going to beat them.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating, because it's difficult to lift your game, because it's you kind of telling yourself to focus and play your best shots, and
But you're just not seeing it as a challenge, subconsciously.
yeah, correct. But I think it's the consequence that I think is the biggest thing that kind of leaps out at you at a final, because you know that there's some silverware, there's a title, so I think that's what debilitates quite a lot of people. That turns them to jelly, you know. The knees start quaking and the heart starts pounding. So it's those three devils. That's a block. Is it a block? Is it a block? Is it a block? It's a half block. Is it a half block?
Yeah, but
Nah.
I think it's also impeding.
I think he's
Red's
also
swing.
yeah.
At two back, so
that's one of those infuriating things about this game. You play actually what is a great shot, and you put yourself right on your line of shot, isn't it? Because it's quite tricky playing those little hampered shots. Because I find that one loses quite a lot of accuracy with a short little sort of jab shot.
Well, it's not your natural swing.
That is not a natural swing. No. It's actually easier just to play a full-blooded jump shot sometimes. But so
and it's just being precise with your positional play.
Yeah.
You know, you can end up with hampering yourself or blocking your hoop run.
So Robert, what are you doing here? Hoop, red, yellow, or position?
Well, I'd be tempted for the hoop.
I'd be tempted for the hoop.
I don't think black can see red or yellow.
I'm tempted for the hoop. I think it's a hoop shot.
Yeah.
And it's a win-win for you, because if you miss it, so what? If you get it. Now the reason why we were whispering is because we were right behind Rob. He's played a great shot. I like it. Yes. Yes. Oh, great shot. I was right on the line. That's why I could say that. So that was the one shot we didn't put on the table.
No,
and that's the greatness of Mr. Fulford. He thought of a shot that we didn't think of, jawsing it, and getting, and maybe getting Matt to put you through, so you get advantage of the next hoop. The man's a genius.
He's forcing the barrage. Yeah,
he's forcing the barrage. Another mini barrage. I mean, this is taking it to a new level. I suspect yellow's still wide though.
I'd say so. So what are you doing here, Reg?
What on earth can you do? I don't think it's black's going to matter unless it can do something to yellow. So word is it that he can't see yellow. So
you could play halfway. Would you?
I think
perhaps if you know the lawn, you might be playing for a bit of a hill.
A hill, yeah.
There's a bit of a snuggle on yellow.
It's a hell of a snuggle, Rob. From 9-10 yards. I mean, I don't know what your snuggling abilities are like, but mine aren't that good. Oh, jeez, what has he done? He's played it's the worst outcome. I'll tell you what, this would be a good jump shot to get.
It would, yeah, indeed.
This would get
first to you're gonna have first play to 9 if you can jump this cleanly.
So two shots from Robert. One was pure genius, and the other was pure uselessness. Taking nothing away from his talents, of course, but this is an important jump shot. Oh, I think that his jumping's gone all cold now, isn't it?
It has.
I actually haven't got a good vision of how close black is there, but if it's very close but not touching, I don't think he can run it.
Well, I think you might be right, because he's looking at playing it with a bit of forward spin.
Yeah. because you certainly don't want to leave it there, do you? Because red is threatening.
Yeah.
But if they are very close together, obviously the risk is a double tap, isn't it?
Yes.
And
More so because you've now got a tunnel essentially with the hoop there.
yes, so of course with any contact with the upright, that's also going to impede the speed.
Yeah, the balls just aren't going to get away from the mallet quick enough.
So they've obviously right. So the rules about playing a fault are what? I think that's fine, but I think he's impeded something.
Yeah. So he scored the point, but
but he's stuck, isn't he?
Yeah, black's not. If you're Matthew, so I think the question that's come through is, say if you're Matthew, how do you prepare your kind of strategy and tactics and approach to the game if you're, say, playing a player like myself in the semis, and now through the semis and into the final, playing a player like Rob.
So this is his first final, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he is not necessarily in his comfort zone. I mean, he might be. All I remember was my very first finals. I'd actually been playing the game a long time before I played in a World's final, which was 2002 or 2003, and I was playing Rob. Now, Robert won 4 of these bloody titles, so he was probably looking at me going, this is going to be an easy old game. What could I do, or what did I do? I'm a great believer in visualization. So I spent an awful lot of time that week probably thinking that I was going to play Rob in the final.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were seeded 1 and 2. And I spent a lot of time imagining in my head playing him, walking onto the court, calling tails at the, toss time, buying him a drink afterwards. But of course, every single time I was imagining this, I was playing brilliantly, and I would beat him.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the brain is it can't tell the difference between something that's imagined or something that's happened to you.
Yes.
So you can trick your brain. And boy, I completely deluded myself. I tricked myself that I had beaten Rob 100 times in that match, on that court, in front of that crowd. And it was actually quite a sort of very calming, peaceful experience, because I knew. So I actually knew in the back of my head I was going to win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went to 5. I mean, and it just turned on a hit in, I mean, it could easily have gone the other way, but I just knew I was going to win it because I'd played him 100 times in my head. And that is why I say I actually do most of my practicing while horizontal on my bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just close my eyes and I think and I picture and I just play movies in my head of winning or playing well or feeling calm. And look, maybe Matt's done that. I think it'd be quite interesting to chat to Matt and actually ask him.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, there's still a long way to go. Oh, I bet you he's kicking himself about that jump shot in game 2, isn't he?
Indeed.
Hey?
Indeed.
Oh dear. I think word has spread to Barrage that there was a very disparaging story about him, and he's now convened a board meeting, and he's now banned me. I'm afraid he's going to be banning you because you were a co-commentator. So we're out of here.
Yeah, we've been relegated.
And we're now going to be replaced by Rick and Brian from Mexico. They're going to bring a sort of slightly sort of Spanish twist to this. But they are both accomplished croquet players in their own rights. Brian hasn't just played croquet in his life before. He's also done some martial arts stuff. So it'd be quite interesting to hear about that side of things. It's just a far cry from croquet, of course. But Robert, it's been fun.
Absolutely, been a pleasure, Rich.
Cheers, everyone.
Whatever.
Pues muy bien, muchas gracias. Vamos a hacer estos comentarios en español. La World Croquet Federation nos pidió que les diéramos en español para nuestros amigos en España y en México y a toda nuestra gente que tanto queremos, que están viendo ahorita este gran partido de croquet. Aquí estoy con mi gran amigo y compañero Brian Lozano.
Lick.
Como ves, aquí en las grandes ligas del croquet, en lo más alto de este deporte. Brian fue el representante de México en este torneo, tuvo muy buen torneo, ganó juegos cruciales y ahorita estamos viendo esta final que va 6-3 a favor del norteamericano Matthew Essig. Matthew Essig es campeón nacional de Estados Unidos de golf croquet de este año, que ganó en Carolina del Norte y ganó su final contra Sheriff de ese nacional y está esperando repetir con un título mundial. Matthew Essig es de esta nueva generación de norteamericanos que también incluye a Brian Lozano, que es gente que se dedica al croquet de tiempo completo, que se pasan los inviernos en un club y los veranos en otro, dando instrucción, mejorando su juego, ayudando a los country clubs a crecer el deporte también. Se están poniendo bueno el partido.
A María por jugar. Un poco incómodo el tiro de Mateo. Clean.
Es un buen acercamiento. Negro la tiene bastante fácil, pero su roja ya está acá para poder barrer. Cabe decir que Matthew, ese que es amigo personal de nosotros y sin querer que haya mucho favoritismo, es una persona que valoramos mucho, que es un gran joven con apenas 23 años, muy caballeroso, una persona muy linda, muy atenta y se merece todos los éxitos. Y obviamente del otro lado está la leyenda Robert Fulford, que ha sido campeón del mundo de hace... ¿Cuántas veces, Brian?
Creo que 5.
5 veces. Son... Excelente golpe a negra. Le da el privilegio a poder combatir. Ya ves que el aro 10 es un aro tremendamente importante. Porque si ya que se va a 6-4, todo puede pasar. Entonces estoy seguro que Matthew quiere ganar en este aro, quiere ya asegurarse de ir a la delantera con un 2-1 y entrar al juego 4 con esa mentalidad.
Sí, él tenía la esperanza de acabarlo en 3. Se le fue el segundo juego
Todos
con ese
creímos.
brinquito, pero no está perdiendo la concentración. Nada por terminar. No ha terminado, dice. Lleva toda la semana diciendo, no se ha acabado este trabajo. Como dijo Kobe, ¿no? Job's not finished.
Así es. Qué
Buena
buena
bola.
Bien jugada. Muy bien. Mateo reteniendo el control del aro, que es muy importante en estos momentos para poder acabar definitivamente. Robert Fulford siendo el jugador preciso que es muy raro que falle este tiro a bolas, no le tira muy duro, pero decide no barrer, decide ponerse enfrente.
Sí, va a barrer con la negra. Tiene pensado barrer con la negra.
Vamos a ver qué hace rojo. A ver si rojo logra bloquear amarilla. Okay, a mis amigos de España, we're going to switch to a little English. We did a little commentary there for our friends in Spain and in Mexico, requested by the WCF to expand, but we'll be happy to do a little bit in English. This is a very important hoop. Robert Fulford, I believe, is going for yellow.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
he makes
Nice
contact with center ball.
clearance. Very good clearance.
Very nice. This was Matthew, always the great sport, cheering his opponent, as great sports do. Matthew really is a gentleman, and I know you've had the chance to play against him a few times. And
He is. He's the first one to mention people that he's not been able to beat. And he doesn't hide behind any losses that he's ever had. So
Looks like a very solid
very
hit.
genuinely good.
It's not nothing, as we say. It moved the ball a little bit, even to just take away that little hoop shot that Blue could have had. So now Blue is forced into a defensive role, which will materialize into sweeping Red. Oof, does not get center ball. Maybe he wanted to go for the cut. I can't see why he would want to go for the cut. Seems to me like that was a mistake. But let's see how it plays out. Matthew playing the inner game quite well, just setting up in front of the hoop. It's a tremendously important hoop. Matthew wants to finish it here. 6-4 is such a tough position to be in going into hoop 11 because 11 and 12 can just change the way it happened in the previous game. There's Mr. Fulford playing a little bit of the inside game. And I believe Matthew's going to do the same. Just get right inside Red.
It's gone a little too far, hasn't it? Oh, that could work.
It could work.
Looks like a good ball.
It's not so much the style that's different, it's the pace of the players that's different between them. And obviously it's a generational game, and we've talked a lot about this being a world championship, about AC players playing their best, and we can see how the big game and the smaller game prevails over a big game. There's no need for a lot of power shots. A good touch and a precise stroke will do the job. But so he hits the wrong ball. This leaves Matthew with an opportunity to win game 3, which would be his game 2. Matthew wins the game, 2-1 to Matthew. So thank you so much for having us on. Y gracias a nuestros amigos de España por escucharnos. Estamos felices de estar por acá. Cambiamos entre el inglés y el español. Y bueno, Brian, platícanos un poquito de tu...
Tenemos permiso. Tenemos permiso para hablar español.
Brian, aprovechando que estamos entre juegos, platícanos un poquito de tu experiencia esta semana aquí en los Worlds.
Pues para empezar, tomo esta oportunidad para, pues una vez más, felicitarte y darte las gracias por levantar tu nivel en el Tier 3 de equipos.
Sí.
La verdad que no es que me sentía tan nervioso, pero sabía que teníamos todo para ganarlo. Pero yo sabía que nuestro juego juntos en dobles, sabía que eso iba a marcar la diferencia. Entonces yo sé que antes de venirnos para acá estábamos pensando que yo iba a tener que jugar con Tiki,
Ajá.
nuestro integrante de último momento,
Sí,
que
de panzazo, y
¿cómo
gracias a él, pues,
¿cómo le dijimos el Golden Ringer? ¿Cómo se
Golden
puede decir en
Ringer.
español?
Pues fue el clavito de oro, el último que llegó al último momento y nos ayudó a realmente poder conseguir esa victoria sobre esos equipos.
Sí.
Y sí, es cierto, yo tuve que ajustar mi juego, yo llegué con un juego muy diferente y después del primer día tuve que hacer ajustes por lo rápido que estaban las pistas, increíblemente rápidas, fue una experiencia de veras, pero lo difícil de las condiciones nos acabaron favoreciendo, no tanto por el calor, que es un calor al que estamos un poco más acostumbrados nosotros, pero también lo duro, lo rápido, y donde me di cuenta que había cambiado tanto mi juego es que en uno de los partidos iba al aro 11 y estaba en la banda norte, y la metí al aro 11 y entró y solamente pasó como 1 metro después del aro. O sea,
Sí,
con
sí,
un
sí,
tiro
ya
que
con eso.
normalmente hubiera atravesado toda la cancha, pues te tienes que ajustar y el
Sí,
secreto de este deporte, como muchos, es saberte ajustar, que no todos los pastos son iguales, no
sí,
todos
sí,
los
sí.
aros son iguales
Ujú.
y eso es importante. Y te agradezco también a ti que nos forzaste a subir tanto nuestro nivel. Y este es un buen momento para saludar al Bobby Rivera, donde o sea nos está
Ándale,
escuchando,
ándale.
que es un gran jugador de México, al Tiki Avitia, que también llegó a última hora y nos ayudó, y a nuestro buen amigo Giancarlo Ruiz, que
Claro que sí,
se perdió de esta
también,
experiencia, pero
también. Y
esperemos que nos
Clip.
pueda ayudar en otra. Y este torneo, ¿cómo lo viste, Brian? Los Worlds estos 2022.
Pues, así como mencionaste hace poquito, ha sido un gran ejercicio de ajuste para mí, 100%. Y no nomás tomando en cuenta la condición de las canchas, los aros y nada así, pero más que nada por la competencia. El jugar con estos jugadores a este nivel me ha hecho ajustar mi juego, mi táctica, y con eso también hasta mi estilo completamente. Hasta mi último día terminé cambiando mi estilo totalmente. No sé si te mencioné hace rato que veníamos en camino,
Sí, me
como yo
mencionaste.
estaba haciendo mi calentamiento antes de jugar mi último partido del blog contra Yasser Sayed, el joven egipcio, está súper alto en el ranking, y este, para mi gusto, él era el más fuerte
De los egipcios,
de mi grupo.
de
Y
tu bloque.
probablemente también o sea, los Nasser y él venían muy fuertes. Y yo sentía que él era el más fuerte de mi grupo. Aunque tuvimos allá Fulford también en la
Ujú.
punta de nuestro grupo, y pues aquí lo estamos viendo.
Que yo creo que
Pero hasta que llegué a jugar con este Yasser Sayed, pues era un juego muy, muy importante para mí. Y hasta ese juego terminé
ya, Iván.
terminé cambiando mi juego completamente, y estoy súper contento. De hecho, hasta tú estabas conmigo, llegamos a casa de Guy Scurfield, de miembro de Dulwich, y él tenía mi mazo nuevo, el trimmer, y lo primero que hice fue que le puse mi grip y todo. Entonces fue un gran ejercicio de pues aprendí muchísimo, muchos ajustes, y soy totalmente, te puedo decir con toda confianza que soy totalmente otro jugador después de estas 2, 3 semanas que hemos estado aquí.
Es increíble cómo estas experiencias realmente toman cuerpo rápido y rápido uno
Sí, sí,
empieza a
sí, sí,
mejorar
sí,
y así
sí.
tiene que ser. Y los grandes jugadores los ves, cómo van mejorando a
Ujú,
través de un torneo,
ujú,
a través de un partido, a través de un juego, cómo a
ujú.
veces empiezan a fallar y luego empiezan a pegar y
Sí, sí,
luego
sí,
no dejan de fallar. Y eso es lo
sí.
importante. Es un juego donde hay que aprender a hacer los ajustes y el juego mental. Y platícanos un poquito del juego mental a este nivel, porque yo sé que la mayoría de los jugadores es con lo que se batalla.
Eso es algo que yo sí tomo muchísimo en cuenta, muchísimo en cuenta. Eso es muy importante para mi juego, mi paz mental, mi approach tranquilo al juego. O sea, yo todos los partidos, yo casi todos los días jugamos 2 matches, ¿no?
Ujú.
Y yo terminé con 3 ganes y 4 derrotas. Yo casi todos los días gané mi primero en la mañana y perdí el segundo. Algunos de esos, yo creo, segundos debí haber ganado. Ahí se me fueron. Este, pero yo, o sea, desde que me levanto en la mañana y llego, yo estoy súper enfocado. Yo llegaba aquí una hora antes y le daba la vuelta a todos los campos aquí, y eso me ayudó muchísimo. Y siento y me dijeron 2 que 3 jugadores que jugaron contra mí, y de hecho Guy Scurfield, que me llegó a ver contra Ahmed Nasser, que él llegó y estábamos, yo creo que, no sé, en el segundo juego yo le iba ganando 3-4-0, algo así, y me dice Guy Scurfield que me vio y que le di miedo. Dice
Ujú.
que vi una
Conozco,
concentración, me dio una concentración en mis ojos, una paz, y una así que nada me iba a mover, que Guy me dijo que ni siquiera se quiso quedar a verme jugar, porque él me vio demasiado
concentrado.
concentrado, enfocado, que dijo no, o sea, y lo va ganando, entonces dijo, mejor me voy de aquí.
Pues
Pero
bien,
sí,
y yo conozco esa mirada de Brian, su concentración, y pues felicidades, estamos muy orgullosos de ti, que tu primer mundial y pasaste el bloque.
gracias.
Ahora sigue el juego 4 And I'm going to switch to English now because I'm going to transition. And so you got a nice little Mexican sandwich in between the great Reg Bamford, and now we have the great Stephen Mulliner coming up. And you had Robert Fletcher too, and I'm sure, I don't know, who else is
And
coming?
Chris Clark.
And Chris Clark. So we were the nice Mexican sandwich between legends. So thank you for listening to us. I hope you picked up your Spanish. And here is the great Stephen Mulliner to begin Game 4.
Hello to everybody in Colasaja and Highlands, North Carolina, and hello to Mission Hills in Southern California. Thank you.
Afternoon, Chris. Afternoon, Stephen. I believe we've got the final call on this match, which might be 20 minutes or it might be 4 hours.
Well, I hope not 4 hours.
Based upon yesterday, Robert's style of play has a tendency to drag the game out, force each hoop to be contested. And what's your take on this match so far?
I've been busy playing at the bowl, so I've not had the chance to really follow what's happening. You presumably have seen everything.
Yeah.
What is your sort of feel of things? Matthew's 2-1 up.
The key to the match is how Matthew plays. Robert is producing a high level of play in a quite defensive positional manner, and when Matthew plays at his best, he beats Robert.
Right.
And when he doesn't, Robert claws his way towards the end. He was 6-4 down in that second game, and he came back and won it at 13. And Robert is basically just trying to hang on to this with his fingertips at the moment, just like yesterday.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong in golf croquet in letting your opponent have the opportunity to make errors. And sometimes that's really the most plausible tactic, because if you feel that if you try and match them at big shot making and it doesn't come off, it's a quick way to lose. And what Robert does have is find a tactical mind as the game's ever known. And as you say, the fact he managed to get past Reg yesterday was a huge tribute to that.
And I might exaggerate this, but probably if you added up Robert's yardage of hoops in this match, it might still be under 20 yards.
So everything's being taken from 2 yards.
Yeah, fairly pretty close. Whereas Matthew may easily have over 50 yards or 60 yards of hoops, and including in those several very good jump shots.
Really?
So
how's the court playing?
The court, as with all the courts over the last few days, has been an absolute delight. The southern part of it is slightly slower. I think we're now at peak speed, and this northern section around 2, 6 and 3 is really quite testing and is moving on a couple of yards more than you might initially think as the ball travels towards it. We started off in the tournament sort of fairly medium pace lawns with quite heavy sanding, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was taking pace out of the lawn. And I said as the week progressed and the sand gradually settled, it would actually add pace to it. And from about Monday, Tuesday, they stopped watering.
Yeah.
And it's been a different competition since then.
And one thing I noticed until literally yesterday, I think, is that when you played a shot across the lawns, the ball would have a little sort of contrail of sand puffing up behind its track. Didn't seem to do anything to slow it down, but you could just see it there, indicating that the sand was still close to the surface and being picked up by the milling. I haven't seen that either yesterday or today, so I think you must be quite right that the sand is now into the sort of base of it, and they did it because they were concerned with bumpiness. If they hadn't done it, given the very dry summer that we've had here, no rain of any significance for 3 months, it would have made it, according to the club officials, a complete lottery.
Chris, could I cheekily ask you to answer one more question during your next round of commentary? I think it's something that Stephen might have been saying yesterday about where the lawns are really hard, hoops of about 1/8 of an inch actually being as hard to run as hoops with a narrower clearance under other conditions. Absolutely. And I confess I heard it, but I didn't really understand why. If you felt it was
Yeah,
worthwhile
so
explain
I think
to people
the viewers
why.
will have heard that question. A wider hoop on the firm ground is more difficult than a narrower hoop in soft ground.
Yeah, because the effective gape of a hoop is mainly a function of the amount of water in the turf in which the hoop is sitting. If you take a powerful player playing at an angle, when they hit the ball into the upright, then they impart a powerful impulse into the hoop upright, which then will initially try and push into the turf in which it's sitting. If that is basically silty or soft or just waterlogged because of too much rain, it'll take several milliseconds for the hoop to push into the turf and come back again, by which time the ball has long since gone. In these conditions, I would say the reactive impulse is coming back in about a millisecond flat or less, and unless the ball has missed the near wire by nothing, it'll just be spat straight out of the hoop. Yes, and if you have a wider, I mean, I'm thinking back to the late 80s, early 90s at Hurlingham, where they routinely set the cricket pitch lawns at 1/8, and the rest were all at 1/16, which was then the standard for tournament play. And people got simply intimidated by the completely rigid hoops on the cricket pitch, because that turf had not been aerated or spiked, and it was like basically concrete. And it was commonplace to see players reduced to what we used to call gibbering idiots, because they just lost all belief in their ability to get the ball through from more than a couple of feet. Here you've got a much higher standard of stroke play, so no gibbering idiots around, but nonetheless, if you catch a little bit of wire in a rock hard hoop, that ball will just bounce somewhere.
And I entirely agree with what Stephen said. It's best highlighted if you actually watch slow motion video. You can actually see how much the hoop moves in soft ground in that period that Stephen was mentioning. Whereas when they're set in concrete, and I think I have played with hoops literally in concrete, then it just comes straight back at you.
We started off now. Robert put a good ball in front of one. Blue, and Matthew thought that's not going to stay there and has duly hit it. In some ways with the perfect shot, he's hit it on the left hand sheet, so his red is a couple of yards north of corner 1 and blue is about 8 yards northwest of corner 1, which is far enough to at least put a question mark on blue hitting yellow if yellow is put into position in due course.
And would you play black very deep, maybe 6.5 yards deep, or would you actually take genuine 2-yard position?
I want to take closer position, 2 yards, slightly on the
Eastern.
west, because I'm east, because I then might try and block red at black by putting blue in and taking position at the same time.
But fundamentally, this is not a strong position for black and blue, despite playing first.
It's one hit has changed it, and Robert's taken the first route and just basically kept himself out of the attentions of red by just going straight onto the boundary.
We often say how difficult it is to hit off the boundary in front of hoop 1 because you start in corner 4. Robert's managed to do that.
He did. No,
Lovely shot with yellow again.
Yeah.
But black is still open on the hoop as well as yellow. I think blue has 2 options. It could just clear the yellow for neutrality.
Yep.
Or it could say, no, I'm actually going to play into the hoop and let black clear yellow.
Yep.
In an ideal world, he'll want to put blue in a position where red feels worried that he might either miss blue and hit yellow, or hit blue into yellow, or has yellow between blue and the clearance. So he's gone for yellow between blue and the clearance there.
And I think here, except black may well have a 7-yard hoop coming up, but that's just too bad.
And in this type of position where Matthew clears, Robert was never been taking the hoop on.
Right.
This will be a clearance on the left-hand side, taking the short boundary side for black, and just extending the hoop. It's this extending the hoop methodology that Robert's used all tournament, and be lots of the youngsters out there be going, in front of my hoop, have a go.
Yep.
And when they fail it, yellow's got a straightforward hoop.
Yes.
It's not Robert's tactical method of playing, and so
not to have to hit hard, and that's a very good outcome. He's most 4 yards northwest of the one. Now, obviously, what Matthew can do is try and find the wide spot. He's not bothering with that. He's just gone straight south, and he's signalling his intention to have a go at the hoop from there in due course.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? Nothing wrong with that position.
Asking questions of your opponent is the fundamental basis of GC tactics. The ultimate is what the Egyptians always used to say, well, 2 balls in front is almost never bad. If they can't clear more than one, they're going to be left with the other, assuming their other ball is some distance away.
I think earlier in the day, Rob would have taken close position here and tried to block with black. But
there was it wasn't quite so quick.
Yeah, it's now speeded up so that block with black is more difficult. And he's seen, when he's achieved that 3 or 4 times during the match, yellow's just jumped.
Well, so yellow's been booted off to the...
This is a bad position for blue, isn't it?
It is. It could be punched across to the east boundary. So Rob's going to have to... And if Matthew basically just... He's not got as deep... Oh, it is quite deep. He's now threatening to have a go at what looks to me like, 5 yards, 6 yards south and 2 yards to the east.
And again, black can either play between red and the hoop, trying to block that, or it can clear red on the right-hand side, taking it out of hoop running position and going off the lawn. Some people, might think, well, why doesn't black go wide from yellow? Because so yellow can't hit it. But yellow's just going to clear blue miles away.
Yeah.
And then red's going to have an easy clearance.
Roll on into... He's gone for the block.
Hit that, it's way too hard.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good shot.
He's got quite a bit of follow on yellow, so that's now heading towards its own hoop running position, should that be needed later. But Matthew's going to definitely have a crack at this.
And this is going to end up as a free go for red, isn't it? Red's not going to have anything better to do than have a go at the hoop.
And Rob's now got to try and hit red.
This is quite interesting. This is Robert's shooting technique, and throughout the entire tournament he's played blue into position. He hasn't felt the need to take that sort of shot on. I'm really surprised that he hasn't just played blue in there, and it's a mark that Matthew's probably played really well in game 3.
Yep.
Very surprised by Robert's choice there.
But you've got a block. I think it's unlikely at that range. And it's been failed, so
my only assumption is he's done that on the basis that black runs. From our position, it wasn't clear whether black was marginal or running, and he's almost treated the blue at red as a free shot, knowing that if he misses, red's going to go for the hoop, and if it fails, black's going to have the follow-up hoop shot.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with the clearance there, given that black apparently runs. Far wire, wasn't it?
Yep. The crowd can settle down for the long haul now. Yellow can come in because blue can dispatch black to the east boundary. And I imagine that it's quite difficult for blue to hit red without clearing it into black, because they're very close together. So
he's always going to clear yellow here, Stephen. I mean, surely there's no benefit in clearing this red ball. Yeah. It's going to be mid-pace at yellow, and he's looking at... Oh no, he's looking at whether he can play into red and what that's going to do with black. I thought he would just mid-pace yellow. I think what he's looking at there is if he mid-paces yellow, can red stun black 20 yards away and get position? Well, it's worked really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's now got.
I didn't think he'd play that at all. There were lots of bad outcomes there, I thought.
But it looks as though yellow
Needs to get
does
this.
run, so he's going to send red down to. Is he trying to block? I'm not
Well,
sure.
number one priority is getting
and I think he's
wired
wired
from
from
blue.
blue, and I think he's managed that.
And I think Rob's forced into a double clearance, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, to be honest, it doesn't look difficult either. Rob's used to hitting rushes perfectly in the right direction, and these balls are only just over a foot apart. He should get both of them, and he has.
Yep. Very satisfying shot to bring off.
So again, yellow wants to go back, and again wired from blue.
Yep. Matthew takes very little time, and
That will give
maybe just
slightly overhit that.
yeah, he can.
So Rob's clearing this again. Hopefully he can hit it on the right hand side and take the south boundary area himself.
Yeah. Just exactly that. He is now on the south boundary, more or less directly below 1. And yellow is on the south boundary, much nearer, below 4. Oh no, he's coming back a bit. Still, 10 yards to the east of 1.
So black's going to take position here, isn't it?
Yeah.
No point in clearing the red.
Leave that to blue.
And ideally wants to position where yellow might not be able to clear it. Again, that's just, I think it's slightly uphill from corner 1 to hoop 1.
In fact, I think it's when you've got these very fast bits and slow bits, it's often good to sort of visualise them or having uphill, downhill. Just where some part of the court is playing as if it were downhill, other parts are playing as if they were uphill. It can be down to the grass as much as genuine slope.
That's a rare miss from Matthew.
Yep.
So Rob again, even if he's open on the hoop, he's going to clear the red. In this position, the only question mark has been how hard.
Yeah.
And if black was in better hoop running position, I think we'd be seeing quite a firm go. And with black being a bit average, this might be less firm. Sort of mid-pace, wasn't it?
Well, I think most people, I'm sure it includes him, will go at the pace they feel comfortable. But you need to have a specific reason for a controlled clearance. Then when that does happen, then you're hitting at probably a quarter of your normal clearing pace. So obviously black must have a chance because Matthew's trying to clear it.
Yeah,
And
good side as well.
Yeah. There's now red that's on the south boundary, a little bit to the west of the 1-2 line.
And in these positions, a lot of club players will think, well, all the balls are on the boundary. The person with the advantage is surely the person who plays in first. But in this quality of game, actually, it's the one with the one ball on the south boundary, isn't it?
And also it's yeah, so black is taking refuge on the south boundary itself. Having said that, blue, which is the last ball of this quartet to play since that situation arose, is quite a long way north.
So Rob, again, just guaranteeing that red can't clear the black and giving time for the blue to get back towards the hoop. Again, just trying to extend the hoop. Lovely shot from Matthew.
I think it probably, he's got to make a choice between trying to block black at the hoop or black at yellow, and given what you've been saying, blocking black at yellow will force Rob into a shot he doesn't really want, which is the 7-yard hoop.
But this does make it quite difficult for blue's position. Blue can't go straight in front of the hoop because it can't block black at yellow.
Correct.
So he's going to have to play slightly wider than he really wanted to. And And here you're just going to play between black and yellow, aren't you? And
Yes.
make sure the hoop's blocked as well.
Although it seems to be taking quite an energetic backswing.
And to me, it looks as if Matthew's got an open hoop and he's fancying a go.
Yeah. Just hitting the left-hand wire again, but the ball stopped close, so no immediate advantage to Rob unless he takes on the hoop, which, as you were saying, is not really his preferred.
There's no chance that this ball is going through the hoop unless he plays a bad shot. He's always taking on yellow. Again, we mentioned before, blue had to be played wider than he would have wanted to, so blue's slightly more angled than in an ideal world. So it's yellow with the possibility of playing a bad shot and running the hoop. So in many ways lucky not to rush peel it.
Well, exactly. Yep.
And again, very neutral position once again.
Well, they've now been going for something like 25 minutes at this hoop.
And doesn't it make it so much more of an interesting, balanced, tactical game when you can't just smash through a hoop knowing the middle of the wire is good enough?
I mean, it's always struck me as amusing that when I first came into croquet a long time ago, association croquet, AC was the only game being played, and people would refer to it as chess on grass. In reality, golf croquet is chess on grass to a much greater extent, because as in chess, the two players are taking alternate turns and playing alternate moves.
So trying to get wide from the black. He's played a really good shot there, and Robert's only shot is to clear partner here.
Yeah.
And some viewers will be going, why on earth are you clearing partner ball? And it's because yellow can clear it hard to any part of the lawn pretty much. So he has to get it blue off the boundary to protect it. It's a good shot.
But it's been played very close to yellow, and we might see a close range block. And there was an interesting incident at the end of Robert's semi-final against Ahmed Nasser, quarter-final, where neither player was completely conversant with the rules, but Matthew has played.
Good shot.
Yeah. I think it's much easier to get a block if the ball is actually on the court, but the opponent, if he's got his wits about him, can actually insist that it's replaced by a ball marker, which I think makes it a bit more difficult to place your ball accurately. But this looks as though Matthew has done him up nicely. And
one of the things I noticed was that yellow looked like it finished in a hole.
right.
So I might be trying to see, can I get some special damage relief here?
Right.
That south boundary was heavily damaged by crows about 2 months ago.
Yes.
And they needed to reseed it, and it's recovered very, very well. But there's just the odd little imperfect area, and if you're going to play this cut rush trying to cut yellow onto red, you really want to guarantee a good contact.
You do, yeah.
So the other thing I think he might be looking at is giving up the hoop and rushing yellow so it can't get to hoop 2. So he's underhit that. Yellow can still get to hoop 2. He had no shot to move the red. And again, earlier when I was doing game 1, I said the snuggle is arguably the most powerful shot in the game.
Absolutely.
There isn't any comeback.
And that, by the way, was a particularly fine example of a controlled, very short-range shot. He hit that absolutely perfectly, just missing. He was in a very angled position. It's very easy to come out only by a couple of feet, but he's now got it up to within 7 yards of 2, so that ball is playing policeman. In comes black, very good shot in its normal terms.
Fantastic.
But it's clearable relatively easily by Matthew because he got red so far north.
I think it's a nice double as well.
Yeah.
He's too good a shot though for it to really be a double.
I think he'll just go for the left-hand edge, cut it towards the east boundary. He's that slightly disappointing yellow. He's 4 and a bit yards back.
It's that sort of line where you're worried about blocking red
Absolutely.
at black.
No,
isn't
I
it?
do. I mean, well, my answer to that is just keep further east.
East, exactly. I agree.
Good effort from Robert there to try and block the clearance.
I think he's got second prize. I think he's blocked yellow at the hoop.
Yeah. Yeah, nicely done. Though the cost of, as is usual, when the good thing about getting a ball close to the hoop is if they do clear you, their ball almost invariably ends up on the non-playing side. And leaving aside what the other balls can do, it gives you a chance of getting an immediate wire.
So this would normally be black to be wired from red.
Yep, and if you're right that blue is taking care of yellow shot at the hoop, this is a chance for a quick recovery to 1-all, as Matthew produces a very good jump shot. But as you were saying, he has been doing it.
We've had this position before in the match where red, didn't have a shot on black, and Matthews just hopped over the blue and run the hoop. Here, because red can hit black, he can just clear blue, can't he?
Yep.
Tried to maintain hoop position with yellow, but it's just rolled past him. I had an email overnight from Russell Dilly. And Russell said, you're talking about stop shot clearances, and actually these players aren't playing stop shot clearances, they're playing drive clearances. Do you want to make any comment on that?
Well, I'm not sure it's entirely true. I think there are plenty of people playing drive clearances, but I've seen some very good stop shots played. It depends very much how close to the ball you are. If you're within a couple of feet, you can almost stop your ball stone dead. But if you're much further than that, then they do seem to roll on. So what Russell may be seeing is the result of an attempted stop shot clearance, which has actually turned into something that looks like a drive, but it may well. And a bit unlucky there. He cleared black and perfectly straight shot, but a bit of unevenness in the court meant that his ball was lifting. So when it hit black, it hit it above the equator, and both balls are now about 20 yards south of the hoop. It's the old axiom that, just clearing at huge pace is not always much help, as the person you've cleared is the first one to come back. So it depends very much on what the other balls are doing.
Robert developing a strong position here, 2 balls in front, with red quite distant.
Indeed.
And going back to Russell's question, we'll just watch this shot. And that was a drive clearance, so the mallet followed through. And virtually every single clearance you'll see Robert do, unless it's from inches, will be a drive clearance. It will be played with a normal swing. When I was playing, I fancied being able to play a stop shot clearance, i.e. grounding the mallet, from up to 3 yards away and actually get much better grip as the back ball skids into the target and holds much firmer. Robert never plays that shot from 2 to 3 yards away. He'll always play the centre ball, normal swing shot.
And relying on central contact.
Correct.
To stop him.
So hopefully that gives Russell some sort of an answer. Some players you will notice stop the mallet on using the ground to create that skiddy effect. And some players will just focus on the centre ball clearance. Oh, good shot.
Yeah. So Matthew takes black out of play. I mean, also it's a way. Grounding is certainly one way, but the main thing is the tempo. If you can get it hit with a staccato tempo, you get the stop shot effect. I mean, grounding is certainly a good way to do that. But certainly if I'm playing a short range stop shot clearance, I don't bother about grounding. I just try and hit it with a very sharp contact.
Robert once again taking position. And would you say this is a scenario where you could consider clearing the black and saying, hey, I'll let blue take this tough hoop on. I know red's over legally at hoop 3.
Yep.
And the best chance of me getting into the hoop is to clear the ball that played before me.
he didn't get full control of that because the reason for doing that is it makes sense if you can get into some sort of position. Because of course, after blue, red's going to play and come back from its favourable position near three. It'll have to clear black. So blue coming in again from about 18 yards away.
And it's very much the difference between the two players. Matthew is saying, I'm going to determine how this match ends by my play.
Yeah.
And Robert's going to take a more balanced view in that occasionally he's going to have to let Matthew have a go at something.
Yeah, yeah.
Matthew's missed that clearance, so perhaps his best chance was clearing that black easily with the yellow and letting blue take that quite tricky angled hoop.
Has Robert been doing much in the way of jawsing?
He's been trying to. Not always easy. Nicely off 1-1.
Yeah. He's an excellent example of the benefits of swinging very, very smoothly. You won't twist the mallet as you go from backswing to forward swing.
That's excellent at hoop 3.
Yeah.
Tough hoop to approach. Quite green before it and then really does fast.
Yes, you've got to come over the green patch at almost 0 speed. And you can imagine it's a sort of little hill going down to in front of the hoop. If you just get over the green summit, you get that effect. If you go over the green summit with any pace, then you're 2 yards beyond. So,
in the middle.
Needs
to keep moving. Left yellow a clearance to corner 2 here with a good rest shot from red.
Yes, and that's one thing the Egyptians would never be caught doing because they hit so hard that they do make contact.
This one's travelling.
It's okay. It was coming from further south.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty good shot from there.
3 yards due north. Rob taking position rather than clearing, so hoping it's
shot, Rob.
Yep.
That's exactly the shot I'd have played.
Hopefully blocking red.
I just think black's too good. I'm not taking my clearance to corner 2 anymore. I'm getting rid of this black.
Yeah.
And that really does make quite a big swing.
Yes.
In the, just one good positional shot. It's forced Matthew's hand. Good shot again.
Yeah,
but Rob's back in the hoop. He keeps getting back in hoops that he looks like he's about to lose. And 4 shots later, it's back to 50-50.
Yeah. Now he feels he's got enough. He can clear red, not very hard, but keep blue in conceivably a hoop running position. Yep, that looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, red will clear that, won't it? Left-hand side.
Right. But again, he's now dictating to Matthew what he's got to do.
Hitting this gently is weak, isn't it?
Okay, he slipped off the side there.
Yeah, any central ball clearance was in danger there, but you always want to take
that. A little less than that would have been better, but yeah.
Corner area, good place to have the red. And Rob slightly overhit that one.
Now there's a nice little play with blue southeast of black. Yeah, Matthew can play yellow into the protected position, which is northwest of black, and blue shouldn't be able to see it, but it's taking position. Maybe
just overhit.
Just it.
It's not bad there, is it?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, again, it's now slightly deprived Rob of an option. He's now got to deal with it.
Rob had an interesting choice there. He could have played into black, moving black just north of yellow, leaving blue between red and the hoop in running position.
Then presumably, but would he be stopping black from red from clearing black?
No, red would still clear black, but I think red's going to finish potentially south of the hoop here after this
I
shot.
think you're right.
Oh, he's just run it. That's a great shot. That is really tough from there.
Yep.
And it's been the difference in the match in that Matthews actually played the best shots.
Yeah.
Can he continue to play shots of that level as he moves further towards becoming world champion?
I, having had the pleasure of talking to him a couple of times this week, I'm pretty sure he feels completely ready to do it.
It's a poor shot from Rob.
He had the experience of playing Reg Bamford and Ken in Australia in 2020, reaching the final of the AC World Championship. And there was a slight hint that he just felt so pleased to have got that far. He wasn't too bothered about not actually winning. But this time I think he sees no reason why he shouldn't. And particularly, as you've said, if he's actually playing the best shots in the match. But of course he's playing one of the greatest tactical thinkers in the game, who hasn't got to the final by accident. This court is now getting very quick. He just breathed on that and he's got red potentially blocking black and yellow. It's a bit tight, clearly. I reckon he can see just half of yellow. No,
Tried the double clearance.
and it didn't work, so he couldn't see yellow at all. And
Because black's gone so far away,
yes,
Matthew's turning down his hoop.
Yep.
To clear the blue,
uh,
which is against his standard play. I think yesterday,
no, he's just changed his mind.
yesterday we saw Reg take on these clearances
Yeah.
instead of running the hoop.
Yeah.
And normally, when you're 3 yards in front of the hoop, you always take the hoop on, don't you? It's just a correct golf croquet tactic. And yesterday we saw Reg do some clearances, and Robert got back into hoops. And even though Matthews failed that, if you look at the percentages,
Sure, yeah.
if you've got the same length hoop shot as your opponent, well,
Yum.
you going first gives you a massive advantage on the hoop.
So they both tried, both failed. What I was fancying Matthew just basically stun clearing Robert away, 20 yards and getting relatively close 4-foot position.
That's not his game, though. I'm not saying it's a bad tactic, Stephen. I'm just saying that's not how Matthew plays. And I'm delighted to have seen him take the hoop on, because that's staying in character.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt Reg moved out of character yesterday.
Well, I think the comment I can make about that is that the best players have got several characters they can get into if they realise things are changing or the conditions have changed. What, having a go?
And he had to hit red or yellow there.
Yeah.
And he really, to be perfectly honest, wanted to hit red.
Yeah, I agree. Matthew presumably has got well.
This has been Matthew's strength.
And if he can hit this on the left-hand cheek, he can end up clearing blue up to the north boundary and being reasonably close to 5.
I'm happy nailing it in the middle.
Well, yeah,
That'll do for me.
and he has indeed. He got a bit on the left, so he is now within 3 yards of 5.
Oh, it's a fantastic shot, isn't it? Fantastic shot. Yeah, blue's finished a yard
I
out
have
of
a
corner
nasty
2.
feeling that blue will not see much of red. No, it's wide by the peg. This is the hoop or bust, I think.
There are three options.
Yes, he could go for yellow, in fact.
Yellow is definitely wrong. Hoop 4. Try and run your hoop.
Yeah.
Or just play onside.
And that's playing.
That's an attempt to play onside, but he's left it short, so it's offside.
Yeah, that was not a great outcome. In fact, I'd have been very tempted to try to run into yellow. If you do, you'll be stopping close to the next hoop. That's so 3-1 to Matthew. And that clearance out of near the fourth corner, which got that lovely result, it's going to give him even more confidence that this might be his day.
I think Rob is going to not take position at this hoop. I think he's going to play on the western side and just try and move it further away from red. Again, this neutrality concept.
Yes, it's probably
Lots of people are going to look at that and go, that is just dreadful.
No,
but it's actually a really good, sensible
It's the essential shot because, yellow's going to get absolutely dolly position. He's actually left that free. He can jaws, but he can't run that. I'd have thought he can run that freely. But nonetheless, it's what, a 9-yard clearance for perhaps 10 for red on black?
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to take it on, Stephen.
It always depends on what this one does.
There's definite choices here. You could clear blue, you could clear black. You could even try and drift a ball in between black and yellow, because blue's 2.5 yards away. This is, again, keeping in character, so I like it. This is the most positive line of play he's got. I like people keeping in character. So, disappointing shot, obviously, having missed it.
But don't you also have, that there are times when, if you've got sufficient experience, you realise that you need to change tack. That, your current approach is not succeeding for some reason, and if you know how to play a different way, it may be the correct thing to do. Now that's as subject to unlucky wire, which I don't think he's got.
Yeah.
Matthew's got a 12-yarder.
I think what the last 2 months has shown is anyone who gets dragged in to one of these positional mid-pace clearing battles, he's going to really struggle against Robert.
Right.
No one has beaten him. That's 2 consecutive misses, and these are the signs that you're looking for. 2-1 down. You're saying, is my opponent potentially giving out some stress signs? Matthews 3-1 up, 2 games to 1 up. Robert needs a bit of help.
Yeah. The one thing he needs to run this smoothly through somewhere halfway between the peg and hoop 6 will do not fine, thank you. Yeah.
Good news is it's still in front.
Yeah, go on.
And now Matthew will go for the standard, shall we call it, Egyptian tactic
Yep.
of first ball in, second ball clears.
Yep.
No,
No,
he's moved to Solomon. That's indicating he's clearing first ball. I don't like this.
Unless it's a controlled clearance, this is
Not going to be controlled Solomon grip. Now I switch back to Irish. He's playing back in.
There's not many players who give you a clear signal of their tactical intent by which grip they take.
So I like that as a choice.
Yep,
It's very positive. It's saying I can hit you with yellow.
exactly. It's only 14 yards.
Correct. And Robert won't shoot at that.
No, he just needs to get another ball in, because one very plausible thing is that blue is hit but only nicked, so it's still comfortably within clearing distance of red, but obviously can't track the hoop if it has been moved out of position.
Bit short,
yeah.
bit short.
Well, this is a pretty pivotal moment. Matthew gets this and Robert misses. 4-1 is going to be a bit significant.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good second prize. Blue is rather what I thought could happen. He's only nicked it, but as he's cleared black at the same time, Robert now has to do. It's too far for a genuine stop shot clearance, so blue is going to end up reasonably close to red at the end of this.
I was looking at hitting that on the left-hand side. Basically, he's tried to play the shot I wanted, but blue's risen up on red. I think what he was looking for was blue to come out wider, potentially allowing black to rush blue in front.
Right.
So he rode up and it sort of went in a more straightforward line. So Matthew having a go at the hoop.
And he now bounces off it into what looks like pretty reasonable running position. But you're right, he's certainly keeping up his pedal to the metal, as they say.
So black takes position, trying not to block blue at red. This is bad. That's really bad. It's blocked blue at the hoop as well.
Yeah, oh dear.
It's the absolute disaster ball. Massey's not going to believe that when he looks at it. You couldn't put it on a blade of grass.
No,
It's
fine.
worse.
Now the one thing you mustn't do is put yellow somewhere where blue could come off it and disturb red. I've made that mistake myself in the past, and it's very annoying.
Yeah, I think that falls into that criteria, Stephen.
Well, it's.
I think he's going to go vertical here. Yeah, hands it down the mallet. He's jumping.
Can he actually jump this far?
I'm not sure he is, actually. I'm not sure he is. Has he got an edge of this red? What's he got, Ian? Sorry? So, Ian Lines tells us blue's got an inch of red.
Okay.
Geez, you're going to have to hit that hard to move it any distance.
Yep.
Surely you should be jumping here.
But with his wrist, is that something he really enjoys doing from this range? It's a very hard hit.
Oh, he's open on the hoop. Completely open hoop shot.
Ah.
Oh, we couldn't see that from our angle. So, obviously the right choice if you can run the
Oh,
hoop.
yes, go on.
And a 4-1 lead, and this should be up to hoop 6, shouldn't
Yep,
it?
it should.
Good shot.
Yep.
Past the peg. And Rob's starting to get in serious trouble.
Yep, that's right. 4-1 down, and your opponent has got a policeman at 6. What do you do?
Good start.
But yellow can, if yellow comes up level with black, red's got an easy clearance. Well, that's a bit short. So blue to clear red and hope that red can't clear black. No, it just comes.
And what's your take on the fact that we had 4 AC players effectively in the semi-final? 3 AC world champions and the current AC silver medalist.
Not an awful lot, to be honest, because I think the conditions have to be regarded as highly unusual. I think it's certainly been quite tough for the Egyptians. I was talking to my opponent today, Karim Gamri, who's one of their younger players, and is an absolutely superb stylist with every shot in the book. he was saying that, you know, they just don't see conditions like this because in Cairo there's heavy watering of all the courts. They've got longer grass and they play a different style. So I think it's the fact you've got 4 very good players, irrespective of the code, who've both been shooting well and have been positioning well. I always think that the physical skill sets for AC and GC are different enough. I mean, you run all your AC hoops as quietly as you can most of the time to get position and pick up a rush. In GC, you're normally trying to run hard unless you're very close and you want to get down to the next hoop. And then again, in clearing, which is the regular business of a golf croquet player, that happens all the time. And AC, it's only once every 20 minutes at times. And then lastly, of course, positional play. I've always thought that AC breaks are very comfortable, relaxing affairs. You've got plenty of redundancy. You can make a slight error, and then, you know, poor croquet stroke, a good roquet will repair it. A poor rush, and you can hopefully repair that with a really good croquet stroke. You don't get second chances in GC in the same way.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting that all 7 members of the last 2 World Team Championship members of New Zealand have all been very good AC players as well.
Well, some of them actually come into it, and what I strongly advocate is for people who want to take up AC, play GC first, become comfortable with hitting balls through hoops and hitting balls 4 to 5 yards away. Then you can easily play a 4-ball break with a little bit of help from a mentor, because you can repair everything you do wrong. Gradually you become more accurate. And I had the interesting and slightly alarming experience of watching Josh Freeth, who was a former under-21 world champion at GC, be mentored, be coached during semi-final of the New Zealand Open doubles in 2016, I think. Graham Roberts and I were playing them. We were quite pleased with our standard of play. And Josh's first approach to hoop 1 was so bad he almost sent the striker's ball off the boundary from 7 yards away. So we looked at each other and thought, we've got chances here. We didn't. They hit everything, and Toby Garrison, his partner, very adroitly coached Josh into how to play croquet strokes better. And the last break that Josh played actually looked remarkably tidy. But it was just an example of how someone who is not terrified of hitting or hooping has got such an advantage over someone who finds them. But Robert's now been given a lifeline here and plays that very nicely down to within about, 3 yards of the hoop. That's a super shot.
I think it's runnable from there.
Yeah.
Be very angled, but definitely runnable.
And to get back from... yeah.
And that's short from Matthew, isn't it? You want to leave the clearance for blue to the short boundary, not to corner 2.
Yeah, that's right. So 5-2, still a big advantage to Matthew.
So not a bad positional shot from black. I still think Matthew's just going to put a ball in here.
Yeah, I think you're right. You think so too? We'll see if your prognostication... No, I don't think he's interested in that. So here, as you said, I mean, it's been left too far north, so it can be cleared a long way. Straight towards our commentary point, outside corner 2. Not good news. Roberts missed it completely, trying for the cut clearly on the left hand edge.
And here I am completely happy with Matthew turning down the hoop and stopping black to wide from yellow on the south boundary, holding position. Exactly. He hasn't got the wire. From that range, I expected him to get the wire.
Yeah. But he's now got 2 balls in front, reasonably close. I think red's in very runnable position. I mean, maybe, 4 yards back, yellow? The way he's been playing, I mean, that's not really a big issue. I think that miss from about 4 or 5 yards may be the death knell. He has got yellow though, so but he's done it at the cost of black coming most of the way towards hoop 2. Now Matthew can think about either just putting a ball in tight, Yeah, he is. Or you could think about blocking blue at red, but I think red's actually such an easy threat that blue's got no chance of staying close to the hoop, even if it hits it. That's a very good shot with yellow.
That has blocked the hoop, I think.
It has, yeah. That's the good principle of golf croquet. Always try and do 2 good things on every shot, and if you can do that, you're gaining an advantage. And here he's got position and he's blocked yellow or blue trying to run the hoop from long range. That was an attempt on red, which has missed. So Matthew has a shot for 6-2, which has been recovered from, but not often. And
Very nice.
what's impressive is just he's just keeping the mallet face absolutely square, swinging it through, and the ball's just very obediently, not even touching a wire.
Yeah, just like Ben last year. Technically, he's excellent, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. But Rob is not downhearted. He just puts black into
Good shot.
a good position from there.
Looks like Matthew's having a couple of goes at this one.
Yeah. Determined to keep his foot firmly on his opponent's throat. Just misses.
And would you ever have considered playing blue to halfway there? 6-2 down.
Yes, I mean, I think if I'm really confident that I can come through 9 with black with that range, you ought to be able to most of the way up to 10. As you say, you're slightly flying the panic flag, but then your opponent probably knows that you're in a fairly difficult situation. I'm being asked by someone who watched me try some exotic tactic at 12 when I was 6-5 down in a game why I did that. Why didn't I just take the easy 12? And I said, look, when I lose 7-5 or 7-6 is of no interest to anyone at all, but winning 7-6 hugely matters. If I pulled off this particular manoeuvre and won the game as a result, they would have been thoroughly worth it. Now he's put blue in very tight compared to black. I assume he can see it, but he's thinking about blocking yellow, which is on the east boundary, clearing blue.
And the thought process that's going to go through his mind is I want to run 9 as well up to 10 as possible.
Exactly.
And secondly, which perhaps wouldn't have been in his mind at the start of the match, is he's seen Matthew play a couple of hops over blocking balls to clear balls that Robert had in running position.
So he might not think it's such a good idea, but he is trying it. I think he also hopes Matthew might end up quite a long way from 10. There's a benefit in having your opponent coming to 10 from the west boundary. It's much harder to get into position.
So the split grip that he was starting to take, indicating that he was going to play a jump, and this is going to be 1 bounce before black, hop over black, and he's gone over on the second bounce. First time he played that, he got the second bounce absolutely as if you were rushing blue away.
Oh, really?
It's as good as you could have played it. Just really impressive.
Rob's now gained something because yellow is now on the west boundary, not a bit south of the west penalty area, so it's a much more difficult. And he's played a very nice shot through 9. Slow down. No, it's
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This very interesting.
Oh,
that's quite bad.
It is.
This could be one good positional shot, and all Robert's going to get is a 20-yarder with black.
Yeah, no, I think. And what is very nice, Matthew is a very brisk player. He makes up his mind. The only brisker player I know of is actually Mohammed Nasser, who seems to compute everything instantly.
Yeah, no, he's quite fast. His Mohammed gets quite frustrated against the slower players.
Yeah, worth bearing in mind. Well, now the question is, has red got the wire from blue? Is the hoop in the way?
One of the things I particularly like about golf croquet is that you normally have to play a good shot to get over the winning line.
Yeah.
Whereas at AC, you can play a series of very average shots and it's good enough.
It is, yeah. So no dramas from Matthews, just bringing yellow quietly in. Trying to hold it. It's good. It's pretty close.
It's a series of bad shots. Still doing it.
Well, he's managed not to block red from the hoop with yellow, which would always be a bit of a crime. Well, he's just bunted yellow gently away.
This is for the World Championship.
This is the World Championship. How are you feeling, Mr. Essick? Oh, it's a jump.
Yeah. It had to be a jump for Rob to play that shot.
Yeah.
But he's been getting most of these too. Yeah.
Yes! Well, he's going to win the World Championship, do it with a jump, just to emphasise. And I think he's quite pleased, looking at his reaction.
Excellent performance.
Yep. Very worthy winner.
From day one, it's been consistently good. A worthy winner.
23 years old.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Stephen.
You too. Very enjoyable to watch.
And thanks to the CA for putting all this on.
Yeah.
It's been good fun.
I think the club deserves huge praise for its
Absolutely.
efforts.
It's been wonderful.
Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your croquet today. Congratulations to Matthew, well played. We're going to see if we can get an interview with him. Hopefully we'll be able to show you the presentation as well. Stick with us and I'll see what I can do. You ready? Hello.
Hey.
Well done.
Thank you.
What a
Thank you.
great game.
Oh, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But hang on, I'm pretty sure you went in it knowing you were going to win it. There's been talk.
I felt like I had a really good chance. I was pretty. It was my first Worlds in 2020, and I was pretty happy just to be there, rather than actually taking in the fact that I had one more match to play. And so this time I really wanted to be hard on myself about making sure that, I stay focused. The job's not finished. I got one more to do. And thankfully it worked out in my favor. So
It did work out in your favour.
it's just surreal.
I think you had a bunch of things running with you today. I think your teammates were well behind you,
Absolutely.
which was great to
Absolutely.
see.
And
really lovely.
not only my teammates, but a lot of the Egyptian players made sure to go out of their way to tell me how much they were supporting me and rooting for me. And so just to have, people backing you makes it all that much better. So.
Well, from me, and I'm pretty sure from everybody that's been watching online, we've had well over 500 views each time in your matches. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your help as well. He's been behind the camera, working on the equipment with me and supporting the crew here. So thank you very much.
Of course.
And,
it was my pleasure. It's I've mentioned this on the commentary before, but we can't give enough credit to you for making this possible, and of course to Eugene for all the work beforehand, the prep work to get all the equipment here and get the equipment ready, and then you basically just taking it up and doing it yourself with
we can share your
very
croquet.
little knowledge.
We can share your croquet with the world.
That's right.
With the world, and we are desperate to show everybody our sport, aren't we? All the time, introduce new people, and I think you are helping us do that.
I appreciate that.
You have age on your side.
Yes, that's right.
Which is great.
Got years ahead, hopefully. So I would like to shout out, of course, my grandma I know is watching, and I have a couple friends in Long Island. Brooks,
Hi, Rebecca.
Brooks, Dylan, and Delilah. I want to make sure I shout out those three. I haven't done that yet, so I know they're watching, and so thanks guys for the support, and I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, we'll see you again in a few years.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
Thanks a lot, Matthew.
You're very
well
welcome.
done.
Thank you.
And that's not going to be...
We are highly honoured today to introduce the President-elect of the Croquet Association, Patricia Duke Cox.
Thank you very much indeed. Do I walk over here?
Yes, over to you.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful to be here, and I do feel really honoured to have been asked by both Jonathan Isaacs, who has been closer. Microphone, is that better? Shall I say again, I am delighted to be here. I'm honoured to have been invited by both Jonathan Isaacs, who has been in charge really of getting this here at Southwick, and I'm representing the CA because Quilla was here to do the introduction at the beginning. I did see him on YouTube, and I am delighted that that was a facility made available, as well as website, as well as you visiting. There have been so many opportunities to involve so many croquet players from around the world, which I think is really marvellous. So I'm representing the Croquet Association, and I am just going to mention that the name may change fairly soon as we seek to change our status, and it may well be known as Croquet England, which of course you already see on the social media platforms. Now, coming to Southwick was where I started to learn to play competitively. I was here for a summer school in 2001, and so I have been playing that long, and I have really enjoyed the game, and I hope that all of you enjoy playing the game at whatever standard or stage you are at. So many eminent players here, so many countries, delightful to see, and welcome. I know that Quilla referred to Kipling's poem about if, and there are always going to be winners and losers. But haven't we had a wonderful week? Well, longer than a week. I'm sure you agree and would like to show your applause, perhaps now. I am here, of course, to express the thanks to the Croquet Association, who stepped into the breach. It was sad that it could not be held, this event could not be held in New Zealand. So well done to all those who are involved in getting it first at Compton for the qualifiers, and here for this wonderful championship event with the 4 trophies that are available to be won. There are some special mentions to be made, but I would really like to just thank you all. So particularly, I need to say thank you to Jonathan for all that he has done. And I'm just going to turn the page here to find out exactly what it is. So Jonathan has been chairman of this event, and I know that he is president of this club. And so he was willing to accept the challenge, having taken it on some 3 years previously. Then, of course, the CA representative, Ian Lines, was involved. But we have our tournament director. So I'd like to thank Tim King, who not only was the director, but I noticed actually involved himself in other activities, including being ball boy. Well done, Tim. The manager for the event was Mike Town, and it was nice to see Mike again, and I'm sure you all feel that he has done an excellent job. And the tournament referee, Ian Cobbold, so well done to them too. I am also told it would be very remiss of me if I did not make mention of Ben and the grounds team, because haven't they done a wonderful job? Have you ever seen such beautiful lawns, nice and level, tight hoops, and excellent play? And so now it's time for me to hand over to Ian Burridge, who will present the prizes. Ian, please come on and join me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed that final. To assist me with the presentation is Mike Town. Mike, I mean, some of the players will think they've been here all hours this week, but there's various officials who have been involved in this event who have been here every hour of this event, which is just a phenomenal test of stamina, and Mike was one of those. But to Mike and everyone else who's in that capacity has been here all that time, many, many thanks to you all. Thank you. So before we move on to the presentation of the prizes, there were two consolation events which there aren't prizes for, that were just providing the additional games for players who wanted to play extra games over the last few days. First of all, there's the Z consolation event. There were two players who were unbeaten in this event, and that was Lionel Tibble and Ewan Burridge. So if we can give them a round of applause. And slightly higher up the scale, there was also a playoff for 5th to 8th place, and that was won by Mohammed Naz. So moving on to the trophies. The winner of the plate, sadly beating me in the final, was Aston Wade from England. Next, we had the bowl, which was for the people who got knocked out in the first round of a knockout competition, which was won by Karim Gamri from Egypt. The next competition was the shield competition, which was for the people who lost in the second round of a knockout competition, and that was won by Stu Smith of England. Well done, Stu.
Cheers.
Then we move on to the main event itself, and we have medals for all the semi-finalists. And so first of all, the bronze medalists were Robert Fletcher and Reg Bamford. You're going first. Can't Reg, you're first.
Thank you.
Made it.
Thank you very
Well
much,
done.
Ian.
Robert. Ooh, made it.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you. Well
Cheers.
done. The runner-up and silver medalist in today's final was Robert Fulford from England.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Stand still, put the look this way together. Now, thanks.
Now, before we make the presentation to the winner, there's a couple of things I'd just like to say. If you have enjoyed this event, next year, the Women's Golf Croquet World Championship is being played here in August. So I hope that is something you might all consider attending and might enjoy similarly. And it's also very fitting, given the winner, that the next holding of this event is anticipated to be, it's not quite signed and sealed yet, but it's anticipated that it's going to be in the United States in 2024, which given that Ben was our holder and we now have a new champion from the United States, it's very fitting. So if we can welcome onto the stage our champion, Matthew Essex.
Tap on forward this time.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you so much, Ian.
Before you do that, can you get together and face this way?
Absolutely.
All the geography. Thank you. Okay.
Matthew, look over here.
Here's the one you want.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well done. Congratulations.
Here's hoping. Go. This hope does it properly.
Yeah. Perfect.
Step at the front there. Nice.
No, you take it. Enjoy. I've got a couple of words. First things first, I'd like to thank the Sussex County Croquet Club for all the work they've done. The courts were tremendous. The people behind the scenes, doing the lunches, doing the work in the morning that no one got to see, all that stuff made this possible. So we can't give them enough thanks for what they've done this week. Absolutely. And that includes Clive and the catering team for all the work they've done with the food. I mean, it's been tremendous. It really has. I'd also like to thank Mike and Tim for all the work they've done with the tournament, making this possible. All the long days, the long matches that make things a little bit more difficult on a tournament director. We appreciate all the work you've done. So thank you very much. And lastly, I'd like to thank, I have a special shout out to Danny Honeycutt. He's been a big part of my progression as a player and basically teaching me the game and getting me started, and really being a great mentor in my life with croquet, anything outside of croquet. And so I really want to say thank you to him for all he's done. This is a pretty poor flag here, Dan.
Gotta thank Betty Terra.
That's true. I am, for the people that know me, I am very, very, very superstitious. So we went to one restaurant almost every single night, and the staff there at the Mediterra Kitchen in Brighton, they treated us very well. So they might not ever see this, but if they do, thank you very much. So, and thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to trying to defend this title in 2024 in the States. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's right.
Your faces are all in the dark. No, you stay where you are. Come just go that side. Side. Yeah. In the middle.
I can take the flag away for this, man, if you don't want it.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. It's been great to watch the croquet with you all. I want to say thank you to all of my volunteers, from camera crew to runners to finding out the scores, all the commentators, the guys that have been sat at the desk changing the scores, updating you with other player scores. It's been amazing. Thank you for all of the support of all of the players. And bye from me. Hope to see you again soon.